Rise up!
This is the Rise Up See Red podcast, all about the Arizona Cardinals and the NFL, featuring insider and outsider perspectives. Enjoy the best hour of Cardinals talk on the web. Now here are your hosts, Jess Root and Seth Cox.
Hello, Arizona Cardinals fans, and welcome to the latest edition of the Rise Up See Red podcast, the best hour of Cardinals talk on the web. I'm your host, Jess Root, from CardsWire.com, USA Today's NFL Wire site that covers, of course, your Arizona Cardinals, episode 751. This is our Super Bowl preview picks and prediction show with my co-host from RevengeOfTheBirds.com, SB Nation's Arizona Cardinals side. That would be Seth Cox. Seth, welcome back. We're back. It's third show of the week. It is Super Bowl week. Unfortunately, for Cardinals fans, there's not much to cheer for because you've got the Seattle Seahawks against the New England Patriots. And while the Cardinals fans don't necessarily have anything against the New England Patriots, it feels too soon for them to be there already.
Well, it's just one of those situations where ownership matters, and we can leave a lot.
But Robert Kraft's not a Hall of Famer. Just remember that.
I know, right? And we can leave a lot of the semantics or situations about Robert Kraft, the person, out of this. But like the reality is, he's a good NFL owner who does a good job putting his guys in position. And he, one of the things that we've seen specifically with Michael Bidwill is his inability to cut ties in a fast manner. We've not seen that with Robert Kraft, right? Who was the guy last year? Gosh, Jared Mayo. He was terrible, and they were like, "Okay, see ya." Like 1 year, you're out of here. See ya. And that makes a huge difference when you're talking about an owner that's just going to find the way to get his team into, the best positions. And one of the things we can say about Michael Bidwill is that doesn't happen very often.
And that brings us to this matchup. The Seahawks are 4.5-point favorites over the Patriots in this game. The Seahawks played in the best division in football. We're the best team in the NFC, in a tough conference, in a tough division, with second-year head coach. And they're going up against the Patriots team who did just as well, but with a wacky schedule in which they played a bunch of teams that fired coaches and coordinators, the Bengals, and the NFC South.
Yeah,
how good is this Patriots team? Because I'm not taking it away from the fact because they did win on those games, but how good are they overall? Like, how actually good is this team?
Jess, I think that's why we're seeing a massive 70% are on not just the Seahawks to win, but the Seahawks to cover 4.5 points. Like that's insane for a Super Bowl, right? Like for two teams to both be 14-3, for two teams to have, a lot of similar statistical output. I mean, you look at it, Jess, the Patriots are second in points per game. They're fourth in scoring defense. They're third in yards. They're eighth in defensive yards allowed. The Seahawks are third in scoring, so worse than the Patriots by 0.4 points per game. Let's not go crazy. First in points against. They're eighth in yards per game on offense and sixth in defensive yards per game. So, like, just from the big picture, this is literally a toss-up. I mean, you have two really, really good offenses and two really, really good defenses, and everybody's like, "Oh, the Seahawks by a lot," right? Like that's kind of wild.
And that's what I think, honestly. And this feels, in a way, doesn't this feel sort now that it was a closer game than that, but it feels like now what's different about this one than when you have the Rams against the Bengals and you had Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl that at a young age in his career, this is it wasn't against Matthew Stafford. This is Sam Darnold. So you've got this major question, like he's had two outstanding seasons in a row statistically, and yet everyone, including myself, sits here waiting for the pumpkin game because he did it twice in 2024 with the Vikings in those two big games in week 17 and in the first round of in week 18 against the Lions, and then in the wild card round against the Rams. And we've been waiting for his pumpkin game this year, and it hasn't happened. But now you've got young Drake May against the reclaimed Sam Darnold, both teams with extremely great defenses. Only in this for my money, I think the Seahawks have the better offensive weapons with Ken Walker. I like Ken Walker over Ramondre Stevens or Travion Henderson, and I like Jackson Smith and Jigba over Stephon Diggs, as good as Stephon Diggs is. And I do believe that as good as the Patriots defense has been this playoffs, I think they're going to find themselves overmatched against the Seahawks offense.
Well, and what you look at, Jess, is the reality that they had one of the easiest paths to the Super Bowl that like anybody can really remember. And we have to give them credit, man. Like we really do. You look at their defense, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but since their loss to the Buffalo Bills, where they gave up 35 points, their defense has given up 24 to the Ravens in a win. That was a good game, 28-24. They blew out the New York Jets, only gave up 10 points. They only gave up 10 points to the Miami Dolphins. On Wild Card Weekend, they only gave up 3 points to the Los Angeles Chargers. 207 total yards of offense. They only gave up 16 points to the Texans, and a lot of that was the Texans defense setting up the offense for short fields. The Texans offense had 241 yards of offense and 5 turnovers. And then the Denver Broncos last week, only 7 points, 181 yards of offense, 2 more turnovers. So in the playoffs, they've given up 26 points, and they have 8 turnovers forced. By the way, in the playoffs, Jess, in 3 games, they've given up less than 700 yards of offense. Like, what the Patriots defense has done has to be acknowledged. But we also have to acknowledge the fact that some of these teams are terrible. Some of these teams.
Our team that they faced was they only scored 10 points. They only scored 10 points, and that was against Jarrett Stidham. Granted, that was just a messy game. CJ Stroud, who knows what happened to him?
Yeah.
And that Chargers team, man, Justin Herbert, they are doing their best to make Justin Herbert die over there in Chargers land. And it's not because they haven't tried to put an offensive line together. It's because their offensive linemen keep getting hurt.
Well, and you look at it, a couple things, Jess. I mentioned those numbers for the Patriots. That's in 3 games. The Seahawks in 2 games have given up 33 points. Okay. So I mean, yeah, it's only 7 more points total. But I mean, that's a big deal when you're talking about 3 games versus 2. And then the Seahawks have given up more yards in their 2 games. They gave up 236 yards to the 49ers, and that 49ers team was basically every team that the Patriots have played thus far, right? And then they gave up 479 yards of offense to the Rams. Um, the question becomes, though, are the Patriots closer to the Rams offensively or that banged up 49ers offense? Like that's the legitimate question, because 243 yards difference, or sorry, yeah, 243 yards difference of offense in those 2 games. Like, the Pats offense has been fine, as we mentioned, not good, but fine. 381 yards against a good Chargers defense. We have to give the Chargers credit, but 248 yards and 3 turnovers. 248 yards and 3 turnovers against the Texans, who are much closer to the Seahawks defensively than um, than any of the other teams they faced. And then that Broncos game, they didn't turn the ball over at all. I'll give them that. But they only had 206 yards of offense. They only had 65 yards passing in that game. I get it. It was snowy, it was sleety, it was wet, conditions sucked. But 65 passing yards is abysmal for a team. So it, you look at it and you really have to ask, like, do you think the Patriots offense is closer to the Rams or the 49ers? And I think that tells you what you're going to get from the game, because we've seen the 2025 Seahawks play just disgusting games. We saw that 13-3 win over the 49ers, right? Where they had 180 yards rushing in the game. And I know they're without, their second running back in Zach Charbonnet, but Kenneth Walker is good. We saw that Indianapolis game where they won 18-16, right? And only had 50 yards rushing. We've seen them have dog fights and win. And I just don't know if the Patriots are built to withstand that dogfight. You look at their losses, they're all close games. You look at their wins are, and you never want to say wins are unimpressive, but like their most impressive win was that first one over the Bills where they won 23-20. Outside of that, it's been a lot of, like you mentioned, teams that were either bad and had their coach fired, or they just blew out the other team. And so
Yeah.
that's where I think everybody's kind of on Seattle. To just, despite the numbers, despite all of that, the reality is you look at it and you go, yeah, the Seahawks are better. But then you also,
and that's how I see the Seahawks, is the fact that if you watch them play, there is such a deep belief. Like they believe they're the best team on the field now. It didn't look like that early in the year, but down the stretch and in the postseason, they play defense like they know they can stop anybody when they need to.
yeah, and that's what's impressive, is that they've done it in a number of ways. And that's something that we don't talk about with regards to the way that they've played this year, because they are, top 3 in offense. And so you go, well, this is just a juggernaut offense, right? But it's the dog fights, it's the mud fights, it's the crap games that you watch where you go, oh, they can win an ugly game if they have to. And I just don't know if the Patriots can do enough to show us that they can do the same, right? Like that's where my question becomes. Like, can the Patriots win a dogfight, like a 13-10 game? That I just we haven't seen that from them.
What's your prediction for this game then? I initially was like it's going to be like a 34-13 type game. I'm not quite there, but I think they'll pull away. I'm going 24-13 Seahawks in this game. How do you see it playing out?
That's funny. That was the exact score I had. So I'll go 21. I'll go 21-13. Yeah, I hope it's a competitive game. I think that's my biggest thing. I just want it to be a competitive game because I really worry it's going to be ugly.
Yeah. Not that I'll say this: if it were my preference, both teams would lose somehow. I saw. In fact, I posted it to my Instagram story today. There was one of those AI Sora type things, and it was a preview. It was the coin flip at the Super Bowl, and it was Seahawks Patriots, and they do the coin flip and said that because both of your teams are bad and the NFL is scripted, the Cardinals are the champions, and they had a bunch of fake Cardinals come out and celebrate with the Lombardi Trophy. And like that would be ideal. I think that might be the only way the Cardinals win a Super Bowl is someone makes them win the Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, at least in our lifetime, right?
Yeah, that probably. Coming up next on the Rise is Here podcast, Mr. Cardinals Talk on the Web. Let's wrap this up but talk about the props, the picks. So we've made our predictions. Let's talk about the bets. That's coming up next on Rise Up See Red. We're back on the Rise of Seahawks podcast. It's our Cardinals Talk on the Web. Time to make our picks for the props for the Super Bowl. Obviously, we both have the Seahawks winning and covering, and we both like the under, which interestingly enough on BetMGM, that is in the minority. 64% of the handle is on the over 45.5. We both like the under.
That's 100%, like literally 100% that nobody buys the Patriots defense. Nobody. And like, that's what makes this so difficult.
Yeah, that is true. Though even if my initial, like the 31-13 would still like, unless, I was like, the 45.5, considering the playoff games that the Patriots have been in, that to me, that's a hard sell to go that high to get to 46. But maybe people are expecting to see like a 41-10 game, which we've seen games like that in our lifetime. I remember those back from the 90s. But yeah, so we both like the under in this game, but we do like the Seahawks to cover. But in terms of now, you can bet on a lot of things. If you had we've got the Super Bowl MVP props. Who is, because the favorite is Sam Darnold at plus 115. I don't love that one. I don't know who would be my preferred pick, but an interesting one would be one of the defensive players, like Ernest Jones or Devin Witherspoon or Leonard Williams. We get massive odds. I would lean towards Jackson Smith and Jigma plus 500 instead of Sam Darnold. Because if Sam Darnold has a good game, guess what? Jackson Smith and Jigma is going to have a monster game. And if Jackson Smith and Jigma has a monster game, it'll be like the Cooper Kupp game for the Rams a few years ago. I think for me, my my safe pick for Super Bowl MVP is Jackson Smith and Jigba plus 500.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. The problem with these things are there's just so many things to bet, dude. It's just it's just so much. Hold on, I gotta find it. I can't. I'm scrolling. I think I'm going past it, so I want to make sure I get that. There it is. All right, it's under specials if you're looking for it. Where to go? Super Bowl. There it is. So yeah. Let's see. So what was Smith and Jigba? I'm sorry.
Plus 500.
All right. So plus 550 on FanDuel. So slightly better odds. Let me give you this one. Let's go Kenneth Walker.
Okay.
Big game. 2-3 touchdown game. Plus 850. Just again, a little better odds because Darnold at plus 115, like you said, that's just terrible. Like don't bet that because what you end up running into if you bet that, by the way, is then you just have to hope that Smith and Jigba doesn't go crazy, right? Like
right.
you end up going like, okay, throw this one to Cooper Kupp. Do not throw this one to Smith and Jigba, right? Like, so then, especially if you bet like, other things involving Smith and Jigba, then you start rooting against your own interests. So, yeah, it's just that's where I would be. I like yours with Smith and Jigba. I'm gonna go Kenneth Walker, just a little more juice. But yeah, I wouldn't go too heavy on the MVP props because, like Jess said, we could see something wild happen where defense has a big game. The one guy I would tell you not to mess with right now would be Nicky Manwari, right? Like,
right,
dealing with an ankle injury. I don't even see odds for him for like tackles and assists and stuff like that right now because of the injury. So yeah, like stay away from anything with Manwari until later. Or until at least you get his status for the game itself.
I do like that there's lots of defensive props instead of just tackles and assists. Like you can get, which I really like, Leonard Williams plus 160 to record a sack, at least one sack, not more. It has to be more than a half sack, so at least one plus sack. I like that one, and you can even get, like, if you want to even get a little crazy, because Ernest Jones, I really like Ernest Jones as a player. You could get him to get a sack at plus 800. Milton Williams, who of the Eagles fame a year ago, is plus 200 for the Patriots. But you can get sack props in this game. You could say player to record an interception. Interesting if you like you would think it would probably be like, and here's one I love odds wise. Ernest Jones over half an interception. Like he'd be one of those tip passes guys at plus 1200. That would be that's a huge one. I think that, and Ernest Jones is quite possible could do it. You could get Devin Witherspoon at plus 1,000, or same with Kobe Bryant. That's what's wild with some of these odds because they're unlike scoring props. These are massive. These are massive ones. You get like the shortest odds is Marcus Jones at plus 550. So especially in a defensive game, and I'm guessing that the Seahawks will force a couple of turnovers, that there'll be at least one interception. That might be a fun prop to play. And my favorite one of that would be the Ernest Jones one.
Yeah, Ernest Jones at plus 1,100 to get an interception. Insane numbers. And again, I don't think anybody is like hedging this, but like if you think that Darnold does turn into a pumpkin, Christian Gonzalez plus 700, Marcus Jones plus 750 for interceptions. Player to record the most sacks is a really interesting one. If you think it could be Milton Williams plus 1,500, if you go with Leonard Williams and you pick Leonard Williams. It's plus 550. At that point, as Jess kind of mentioned earlier, why not just, and I'm not saying parlay it in that way, but like parlay that to like an MVP as well, like, right, like a, hey, let's throw 5 or 10, because I can't imagine his numbers are going to be that high, right, for MVP. So if you can get something good on that, oh man, that's especially if you think he leads the game in sacks. Oh, like a 3 sack game from him could be a monster, and then you could parlay that into him being the MVP of the game too.
Yeah. The receiving props, like Jackson Smith and Jig, you're getting no value on any of those. Like he's at 94.5. Here's one for me that I really like. In here, if you like a really easy one, Jake Bobo over half a yard for plus 150.
Yeah, I like that one. I want to go back real quick. There's a couple game specials on defense, like you said, man. The Super Bowl brings out everything. I wish we could get these more consistently in other games, because these are fun. But there is one more that is interesting to me, and it was oh darn it, what just happened there? Milton, where did it go? Oh, there it is. Milton Williams and Leonard Williams to combine for 2 points. They do 2.75 sacks. So, so 3 sacks basically to combine for 3 sacks. That's plus 1,500. Like, that's a tempting one, man, because I like both those guys to do a good job. If you're feeling really froggy, there's a game special. Each team to score 1 rushing and 1 passing touchdown in each half. That's plus 12,500. So like not 1250, like 12,500. So like $1 wins you $125. I think that's always worth just to throw a buck on, because it could cover your entire night, right? Like you win $125 on a $1 bet and you lose your other $100, so you're basically even. I do like a couple of other ones in this game, and it's tough to really parse out when there are so many. It almost gets overwhelming, right? But one I like is the Seahawks to score in all 4 quarters. It doesn't have to be a touchdown, just points. I really think it's something that we could see happen, because I just again, I'm not sold on this Patriots defense, even though they are very good and they've done a great job all season. I haven't been sold on them.
The back to the offensive passing props, they're really no fun, because like over 1.5 touchdown passes for Sam Darnold is minus 130, but over 1.5 is for Drake May, and neither one of us like the Patriots to score 2 touchdowns. Both of them are minus 145 to throw an interception. That's not a good bet, as I could see either one of them or both of them throwing interceptions. If we want to go, and this is not great value, but it's a place. I think Sam Darnold 250 plus passing yards on the alternate passing yards at plus 120, I think is a reasonable one. But I don't love most of the offensive props, honestly, especially like the big names. Like I said, if you want to go with the over half a yard for Jake Bobo for plus 150, that's one of those value wins where he's going to get he can just get 1 catch, and my guess he'll probably get a single catch in this game.
Yeah, and I do like that. Those are the fun ones, right? Sam Darnold over 5.5 rushing yards. I do like that. Drake May over 37.5. It depends on game script. If it's a close game, that's something that you're going to wish you would have hammered. I'm going to stay away from it. But if you think it's going to be a close game, hammer that. Bobo, by the way, over a half a yard on FanDuel is plus 180. So slightly
go with that one.
Slightly better odds.
Oh, one thing I like, and this is for the rushing props. Jackson Smith and Jigma over half an attempt, rushing attempt at plus 210.
Ooh,
Aren't they guaranteed to do one jet sweep with him?
Jess, over half a rushing yards plus 290.
Jeez.
Those are the ones exactly where you're just like, all right, I'm just gonna throw.
Get on those now, because those will likely disappear when someone goes, "Oh wait, what were you doing?"
Yeah, and if you want to
What
get
are we
froggy,
doing?
right? If you want to get froggy with it, plus 450 for 5 yards, plus 850 for a 10-yard rush. That's one rush. I mean,
Ooh.
that's only one rush. So if you want to, get something out of that, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, and you're looking at the rushing yards. I don't love. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, geez, half a rushing plus 280. That's insane. Get on that. Get on. Maybe I'm gonna get on that like right now. just because right, they're gonna do one, like they've got Rashid Shaheed, like everyone's gonna know, but Jackson Smith and Jigma does those jet sweeps too, so we're gonna see it once in Super Bowl. We're gonna see it once, so you're gonna do both. In fact, do both individually, parlay them together, and then then make those your only two bets, and then you're rich after. Oh my gosh. Anything else? Like the kicking props, no good. I think they listen to us, and when we always say get any plus kicking props that you can get over 1.5 anything, do it, and they don't have that this time around. Touchdown scores, I don't think, like those, the value, you don't get the value in those this game, unless. And even a Seattle defensive score, it's only plus 390. I mean, it's still good, but for defensive scores, it's usually much better than that.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of juicing down a lot of the good stuff. That's why I look at a couple of them and I go, "Oh, I really like these," because I think we hit a couple of them, right? The defensive stats, the bit players, those guys are going to have to step up in this game. All of those things make a huge difference, and it would be great to see them hit. That's why I think you just find a way. If like I said, that one bet that's plus 12,500, if you really think that this is going to be a high scoring game, and like you said, on BetMGM, the money's on the over. That's a bet that you make, and you just say, if it hits, that's awesome. If not, I'm out $5 or whatever you want to throw on it, because that is an absurd. Just an absurd number. So we'll see how that comes down. I really hope it's a competitive game. That's my biggest concern. I really am concerned that this is going to be one of those games that you see the Seahawks get out to a big lead, and then it's just like they just kind of breeze to like we said, like a 24-13 type of win. They're up 17-0 at the half, and then score another touchdown, and then you get two late Patriots touchdowns, or and you're just like, oh, this game sucked. So
yeah,
that's my concern.
The company, I'm sure, will be good. I'll have family over my house. The food will be good. Well, the football is secondary for this game, because I couldn't, like, other than placing money on things, I don't give a rip about the outcome of this game. So yeah, because do we want to deal with Seahawks fans winning the Super Bowl next year, and how obnoxious they will be with I don't, but
exactly.
So, and with that wraps up this week of shows. This edition of the Rise Up Seahawks podcast, Best Our Cardinals Talk on the Web. We'll be back next week. We'll be back next week to talk about the Cardinals, the coaching additions, and we'll start breaking down that roster. Now that we've got a coach, now that the playoffs are done, we can roster prep, as we're a little more than a month away from free agency. That's Seth Cox. I'm Jess Root. Thanks for listening. As always, we'll be back again soon.
Thanks for listening to the latest edition of the Rise Up See Red podcast. Listen to previous episodes and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Audioboom, or many other podcast platforms so shows are delivered directly to your mobile device. Please give the show a 5-star rating and always support the sponsors who support the show. We'll be back soon for the best hour of Cardinals talk on the web. Rise up, Red Sea, be Red, Sea Red, and of course, Rise up, Sea Red.